Thank you. All right, we're live. No pressure. Well, live on Facebook at least. Oh, yes, and if you don't have your phones off, please put your phones on mute. And that moves. Oh, does Austin see that I got Fight Fit up there? Austin, do you see that? The Jennifer Sheehan Show, Fight Fit. Oh dear, I'm all big.
There she is. Right.
I'm all. Can you make that a little smaller?
Gorgeous. Just
Thank
gorgeous.
you. My son's like, oh dear.
Oh God, Mom.
Right. So when that starts blinking, that's when I know that I'm out of time. So I have to stop right then.
Okay.
Good thing I don't have a problem like talking over people, cutting them off, being bossy. It helps for radio. Oh, here we go. Welcome to the Jennifer Sheehan Show. I'm Jennifer Sheehan. To see all radio shows, go to the JenniferSheehanShow.com or follow me on Instagram, the Jennifer Sheehan Show as well. Okay, so we're going to have a fun time, listeners. I have my son, Jared Sheehan, as my host. Hi, Jared.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, he's going to be all polite and sweet. I told him he can be crazy, but he's getting paid. So I'm like, don't say anything that's going to make me look bad. You got my back, son?
Of course.
Okay, good. We've got Dr. Doohi Lee. Hi, Dr. Lee.
Hi, Jennifer.
So good
How are
to
you?
see you.
Thank you
with
so much.
Advanced Surgical Arts in Plano.
That's right.
And then
That's right.
Brian. Hi, Brian.
How are you?
Masterson with Terra Vista Pool, Landscape, Pool, Patio and Landscape.
Yes,
Woohoo, I got it right. That's kind of a mouthful.
it is.
So I'm so excited to have Jared with me. So first time he's on the radio show. How long have you been working with me now, son?
For about 5 months, coming off of Market Street, kind of a lot of a better job.
It is better? Are you saying that
yeah,
because I'm paying you?
a lot more, yeah.
So we made Jared get a job when we bought him a car. We bought him a brand new Camaro, and we told him before that you have to get a job for about 6 months. So I think, did you work at Market Street for 10 months?
Since about August to January. How long is that?
Oh, for a little while.
About 6 months.
About 6 months. So we told him that because he has to pay for the insurance, and the insurance for a 16-year-old kid, which he'll be 17 in a couple months, but the insurance is $200 a month. Isn't that insane? So we're like, okay, you want a car? We'll pay for the car. You pay for the insurance. So that's when I really wanted him to have a job first before he started working for me so that he could see what it's all about. And so, snow, rain, you're out there bagging groceries, taking him to the car. So then he gets this cush job with his mom.
Exactly.
And I'm like, Sheehan Advertising and Marketing, this could all be yours one day. So, and I did kind of outdo the price. What were you making at Market Street?
$7.75.
$7.75, no tips. And how much do I give you?
$20 an hour.
Are you worth $20 an hour?
God.
I like to think so.
Would anyone else give you $20 an hour?
No.
So I give him $20 an hour.
Right.
Well, one, because even when he goes off to college, he can still, my business is all in the cloud, so he can still do what he's doing now for me. And the greatest thing about my son is, one, he's actually very responsible, very smart, and I trust him.
Follows after you.
Oh, thank you. You're so kind.
Well, it's real.
That is very sweet.
Yeah.
I kind of feel bad for him being raised by two Army veterans. So we were kind of like tough on him. Are we tough on you?
I mean, kind of, but I get through it.
I think you're very lucky. My God.
Oh, thank you. So we just always believed in discipline and setting the example and hard work. And I don't think ever we've gone into like a store and he said, I want this or this, and we bought it. We said, maybe Christmas, maybe your birthday, or you work for it.
Right.
He's been doing chores. He's been doing his own laundry since he was 10 years old.
All right. Where'd he go?
Isn't that crazy? Unloading the dishwasher, walking the dogs, all that stuff. And he gets paid allowance, but we just don't believe in just giving it to them.
Yeah.
Because what are they learning then? You know what I mean?
They learn how to expect things rather without any kind of effort, which is completely opposite of what you want to do.
Right. And I hate that entitled attitude.
Exactly.
Like, I hate it.
Yeah.
So when people hate on me and they're like, oh, you drive this car, you do this, I'm like, okay, I married for height. Okay. He's 6'7". I didn't marry some rich guy. We both work hard. And if I want to buy a Chanel purse, I got to work hard to go buy that Chanel purse. Yeah. So that's what we've been trying to instill in him since day one is if you want something, you get a job, you work, and you earn that money.
Yeah.
So
you set goals and you go for it.
Absolutely. So, and I think that we should all be teaching our kids that, but that's my personal opinion. If you give them everything, kind of like if you give them everything when they're 16, what the heck do they have to look forward to in the future? And then how are they going to maintain it?
Exactly.
Because these people that are buying their kids Mercedes at 16, are the kids going to be able to afford that Mercedes or are you going to pay for it until they're like 60 years old,
Pretty much. Yeah. They'll move in and so you can pay for their Mercedes while they're living at your house.
Absolutely. And there's something to say about trust. And that's one of my favorite things. I've had plenty of people working for me. And believe it or not, I can't believe I'm saying this on live radio. My son is doing a better job than anybody I've hired.
Wow.
Oh,
wonderful.
group
my
hug.
God.
Isn't that
He's
sweet?
blushing.
Are you blushing?
A little bit.
Yeah, he's blushing. That's great.
Well, and one of the great things is that I trust him and he does what I ask him to do. And I don't just ask him to do something like sending out an email. I'm like, when you send out an email, like invoicing, he does all my invoicing, you first put what you're going to put in the email. You change the attachment to what it needs to say. You attach it, you check everything, and then you put the person's email and send it. Mm-hmm. And why do you do that? So that you don't make a mistake.
You can send it to the wrong
like
person.
We've all done.
Yes. Oops.
And so when he first started invoicing, he goes, Mom, I made a mistake. I sent one of your clients a email, but I didn't attach the invoice. Uh-huh. I said, so you didn't do it in the order that I asked you to. Uh-huh. I said, so if you would have done it that way, then that wouldn't have happened. So, excuse me, lesson learned. You know what I mean? Right. So the great thing is he does learn that lesson. But having 30,000 on social media, mostly business owners, and 200,000 emails, I have not shared my database because you guys are in my database. Your cell phone and your email is in my database. Right. And so if I hire someone and they take that database, which they do like taking that database, you know what I mean? Sure. Yeah. They could take that database and then they would have both of your emails and your cell phone number. So I protect that. Mm-hmm. And I've never given any access to anybody that's ever worked for me until now with my son. I'm able to do that.
Sure.
So it's so nice to just be able to trust him, you know? So I don't know if he's going to end up taking over Sheehan Advertising and Marketing or if he's even going to end up liking it. But I'm hoping someday that he's going to want to come back from college and work for me. I told him, I'm like, you can come out of college making six figures.
Easily.
Right?
No.
I think working for me, I think he easily could.
I think working for somebody like you, you could. But I think most college kids are having some problems. But
Right. So it is true, right? A lot of college kids are having, even with a degree coming out, having a hard time finding a job.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with the recent changes with the economy, with what President Trump is doing, that I think that's changing a little bit. But still, I think that a lot of kids coming out are still struggling. So
absolutely. Yeah. And so we told him, we go, when you go to college and you come back, we're not just going to like throw you to the wolves. Like we're so strict with him that he wasn't sure what we were going to do. We're like, we're paying for your college. You're going to college. Hopefully you'll still continue to work for me, making $20 an hour. Mm-hmm. And then it'll be your choice when you come back. But we will give you so much time, like a year, to figure out what you're going to do and help you do it. You're not going to stay living with us. I was kicked to the curb. They're like, we're not paying for your college. They kicked me to the curb, threw me into the Army, and they're like, bye, swim, you know? Wow. So it was kind of hard.
That's great.
But anyway, you're a lucky kid.
Yep.
So you're going to ask Brian something?
Yeah, well, I'm not going to lie. My hands are kind of sweaty. I have to fill in some big shoes for Carmine.
Oh, Carmine's going to love hearing that.
But I'm going to ask you, how long have you been in business?
I started Terra Vista right around 2006. Before then, I was working for a national pool builder. And with the turn down in the economy, I started my own. and really have been doing landscaping, pools, patios, outdoor living since then, and it's all been word of mouth advertising for me, and it's been successful.
It's good.
So, what type of pools do you build, Brian?
In-ground concrete pools.
No. What did you call those old pools that were above ground? Doughboy?
Yes.
That was a long time ago. We had one of those.
No, we don't do vinyl or fiberglass pools. It's all concrete in-ground custom pools.
Right, and not just any pools. I've seen your pools. So Brian is my newest client in the Best in Collin County magazine. And actually, Dr. Courtney and Lori is his sister.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's great.
So I'm so excited to have him in the magazine. So we have in his ad is a picture of one of the pools he built, which is stunning. So he doesn't just build any pools. He's just being humble and nice right now. His pools are amazing.
The projects range. I mean, the pool that's advertised is probably one of the larger projects, but it spanned over the course of a year. I mean, it's not like the house was already there. The house was under construction. The home was 6,000 square feet. It took a good year for the house to get built. So we just worked on the pool as the house was progressing.
Is that easier than if the house is already built?
It makes everything really easy. I mean, if the house is already up, we can do it. We do it a lot faster. But I don't want to put in tile and coping while the house is still under construction, because the exterior work anyway, I don't want people to damage it. So we'll let the pool sit at shell, and then when they finish the exterior work and move inside, then I move on the pool and get things going.
Okay. You know, when I went through all that process building a pool, and I hated it. I was actually thinking in the middle of building it, what was I thinking? So I'm kind of a neat freak. Am I a neat freak, Jared?
Definitely.
OCD crazy. What do you guys do to mess with me?
We move little things throughout the house, and she freaks out and has to move them back.
Literally, and they do it to mess with me too. So think about if I have a pool being built in the backyard.
Destroyed.
My gosh.
You're a wreck.
Like I had and the windows and people in the backyard. I'm like, oh no. But you know what? When it was all done, then I was so glad that I did it, because I got to do it the way I wanted it. And so it was worth it. It was worth it at the end. But in the middle of it, I thought I was going to go crazy. I was like, but the great thing is there are different types of pool companies.
Yeah.
And so if you move into a house and that house is already built, you don't know what you're getting. And I know for us, we live in Shattuck Creek Estates, and we are in Frisco, and we are on a riverbed. Mm-hmm. And I was wondering why we have so much movement and cracking and through the whole neighborhood. When I go on next door, that's what they talk about a lot. And so that is part of being on the riverbed, is you get the movement and the cracking. So if you're going to spend, what's the average pool, Brian?
There's so many options that can range, but I would say just a ballpark would be in the $45,000 to $50,000 range, and they can escalate from there.
Oh yeah, so I was naughty. I spent more than double that. I have really good taste. But that's regardless. Even at $50,000, that is a huge investment to not hire the right pool company. And so in my neighborhood, it's so funny, because when I built, I actually went on Nextdoor and asked who built a pool, who did it, what have been your results, and how long have you had it?
Right.
And have you had any problems?
Sure.
Because that was more important to me than money. I wanted to make sure that I built it right. So I did those things like the reinforcement and injecting the soil and the superstructure, all that kind of stuff. Because I thought, okay, I'm not going to spend all this money and stay here. We're planning on staying in the house till they roll us into the old folks' home. That's the plan. So you don't want to do that and then turn around and having cracking and issues. Because if you have cracking and issues, guess who's paying for that?
That's right.
Me.
That's right.
So I'm like, all right, do it and do it the right way. So that's one of the reasons I'm so proud to have him now as a client in my magazine, because he builds those pools that last and does things the right way. So what type of tips would you give people, Brian, for people that are living in my neighborhood, which, by the way, Brian lives right
down
behind
the street
me.
from one another, so it's not that far away.
So
I've
you know.
actually got a client. It's funny. I met with her yesterday. She's got pool movement. She's got issues with the shell of her pool, and it's all related to a builder who came in and just dug a hole and built a pool and did not do any kind of injections, did not do any kind of piers. So when I meet with somebody, first thing I'm going to talk to them about is the soil, because just like your home. It's a huge investment.
Right.
And to not address it, talk about it, bring it up, talk to the neighbors that built the pool, see what they ran into. Did they hit rock? Did they have a stream underneath the pool? Do they have a stream underneath the house? Do they have, black gumbo soil? Do they have
We had that
sandy silt? I mean,
that black clay.
there's no telling what you're going to find. I really love when I'm doing a custom home and working with these builders, they've all got soil reports specific to that lot. So I just get the soil report and talk to my engineer and get everything squared away.
So I didn't know they had soil reports. That's very interesting. And it's so funny when we were talking because I met him at Dr. Courtney, and Lori is his wife, owns the hospital on the back cover of the Best in Collin County magazine. And so I helped do the grand opening for the hospital, and that Brian was there. And so we talked on the phone. I'm like, hey, I think I remember you. Well, he's easy to remember because he's taller than me. How many men are taller than me? Jared's taller than me. Can you believe it? 6'3" at 16 years old.
We were right back over at the surgery center a few months later for my daughter. So she had to have a ACL surgery.
Oh,
We
no.
were right over there. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Wow.
Does that sound painful, Jared?
Yeah, it's painful.
Wow.
I see it happen all the time.
You do?
I'm just glad it's not happening to me.
Right? Wow. So sports. Do you do some sports?
Yeah.
What do you do?
I used to play basketball for Wakeland, and now I'm playing football, starting varsity for this next year. It's
Woo!
gonna be a good adventure.
Yeah, very proud of him. And so interesting. I didn't really realize. So when I found out Brian, when we talked the first time when he went into the magazine, found out he lived in the neighborhood behind me. And I didn't know until today that our kids go to school together.
That's right. They're a year apart, but same school.
Yeah, a year apart. She's going into 10th grade?
Yes.
Awesome.
That's great.
So isn't that crazy? Did you think you'd be on my radio show, Jared, with one of my new clients and his daughter goes to school with you?
Nope, never even thought I would be here.
You didn't think you'd be here?
I thought it was kind of scary at first.
Coming on the radio show?
Yeah,
And now?
I mean,
You're going to be a pro by the end of the hour, right?
I hope so. Yeah.
Well, since he's in school and my show's always 1 to 2, he can't just come on the show. But I'm like, hey, you got Christmas vacation, summer vacation, spring break.
That's right.
So I think great experience, but interesting what a small world it is that his daughter and my son go to school together.
Yeah.
So I think that is
Small world.
very cool. So the great thing about you living in the neighborhood behind me is that you already know that it was on a creek bed, and none of the neighbors know that. Excuse me. How are we supposed to know that? We buy the house and they don't give us soil reports.
Well, and not only our neighborhood, I'm familiar with it, but it's with the number of pools that I've done since early 2000s, I'm familiar with the areas all over town. I mean, there are some areas that it's a 50-50 shot of what you're going to get, either rock or dirt. And it's just, I've got a network of people that I've been building with since the early 2000s, and we just have a good understanding of what is around in these areas and what we're going to run into and what we're not going to run into. But getting a soils report, not something that most homeowners are going to have access to, but it's always a good thing to have to let you know what you're going to get into.
Right. So I think Austin went ahead and put us over to commercial because I wasn't paying attention. Did we already go to commercial or do we need to go? We need to go
I
to
think
commercial.
he's saying keep going.
Keep going? Okay. All right. So we're on commercial
We're on
now.
commercial now. Okay.
Okay. I forgot to. No, keep it on. We keep talking. We're still on Facebook Live.
Oh, okay.
So when it
Facebook
starts
Live.
blinking like that, I was so into conversation. But he just puts me right over to commercial anyway.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I wait for you to break. I wait for you to say, and this
Sorry,
has been a
Austin.
Jennifer Sheehan. So like, if it blinks, you just go and then break, and then I'll break you.
I just keep going.
So you don't have to. Yeah, you can just say like, and then we'll be right back, and then I'll.
You're the best,
You know.
Austin. What would I do without you? He keeps me in line. So normally, we're on commercial break, but we are still live on Facebook Live.
That's great.
So that's okay. The great thing is that it's so chill around here. They just take care of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate them very, very much. So look, the thing I'm good at is talking.
It's a
Look,
gift. It's a
son, are
gift.
you agreeing?
Everywhere we go, multiple people at a time.
It's a gift.
You hear what Dr. Lee is saying?
What?
It's a gift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a gift, Jared?
For you. Yeah.
How is it like me being your mom?
I mean, no matter where we go, I mean, I always have to meet someone I never met before because you know who they are. It's it's adaptable, but I mean, it just takes time.
Is it annoying sometimes?
Sometimes.
I'm
yeah.
sorry, son.
Me and Dad both.
And my husband's an introvert.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
6'7" introvert.
No.
Kind
Yeah.
How's
Robotic engineer.
How is that possible? Did he play basketball or something?
Yeah.
He did.
College
Yeah,
basketball.
Yeah. See, so there you go.
Yeah. He played college basketball and then hurt his back. And he had a scholarship in California.
Wow.
And then joined the Army. And we met at Fort Hood. Actually, we're in August. So next month, September 20th, is our 20-year anniversary.
Wow.
And he was a tank
That's amazing.
operator, right?
I know. He worked on the little black boxes on the helicopters. So, but I'm sorry, son. You know what's so funny? It's interesting when you have kids to see who they're going to be like when they get older. You know what I mean? Are they going to be like, is he going to be like me or more like Sean? I think he's kind of in between the two of us. So he's definitely not as quiet and an introvert like my son, but I mean, like my husband, sorry. But you definitely are not quiet and shy.
Yeah.
Except on radio.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a new step. It'll get there.
Well, you know what? You should not feel bad because every single person that's been on this radio show for the first time has been nervous, sweaty palms. I could see their face in the videos. Like even I think Dr. Courtney, I mean, he's a spine surgeon. He'd never been on the radio before.
Yeah.
And he's sitting over there. I could see the look on his face of like, oh my gosh, here we go. And then the second time he went on, he's like, no problem. I got this. Like he was like so chill the second time. So it's kind of, we're always a little bit worried about the unknown.
It's like you don't know what to expect. It's kind of nerve wracking. Like you're just trying to go with the flow.
Right. Well, you know what? I'm just so proud of you for doing it. Because fear stops you from a lot of opportunity and a lot of things that can better your life.
Well, I mean, I am getting paid.
Well, there's the motivation.
True. But you know what? Sometimes even when you're getting paid, you're like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I swore when I started my business 15 years ago that I was not going to let opportunity go and that no matter how scared that I was just going to do it. So even speaking, I don't like speaking, believe it or not. I can walk into a room with 1,000 people and come out with 500 friends on Facebook.
I believe it.
But I never liked public speaking. Like getting up in front of 1,000 people makes me want to throw up. It makes my voice crack and I literally physically shake. And so, but I kept doing it more and more and more. And of course, praying, Lord, help me. And then finally I got up in front of my biggest crowd about 4 or 5 months ago and I was scared, but I still did it.
Yeah.
And I didn't shake and my voice didn't crack.
Of course.
So I was
You're a
like,
pro.
okay.
You're a pro.
Yeah, they're getting there. I don't know about a pro yet for the speaking thing, but the more you do it, the more comfortable you get. Even the first day of the show, I was very nervous.
Well,
And
that's understandable. Yeah.
but I did well, and I was like, okay, maybe I can do this. I got all excited about it. I actually had the owner, Mark Warner, of the radio show sitting right there, and I told him, can we do less time, like maybe a half an hour instead of an hour, and halfway through the show, I'm like, you know what, I like this. I got it. I can do it.
Yeah.
But then I felt too comfortable in the second show. 2 people were late. 1 person was not where they were supposed to be. And I go live and there's no one to interview.
Oh, no.
And then I got really scared because I was like, what am I going to say for an hour? So they said,
Well, you could have.
we're about to go back in. So they told me, you have to be prepared that the co-host and no one shows up
Yeah.
and you talk for an hour.
That's right. Always things to talk about. Yeah.
I'm like, okay. So it was a little bit nerve wracking, but I feel completely comfortable now. And if I mess up, I mess up. Oh, well. I do my best. You like my song? No, you don't.
So what position do you play?
Tight end.
What?
Tight end.
Tight end? Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Welcome back to the Jennifer Sheehan Show. I'm Jennifer Sheehan, and we are just having fun, just talking about all kinds of stuff. Pools, for one, and knowing now that I've built a pool, it's very interesting, all of the things I didn't know that I know now. And so I'm so glad to have Brian Masterson as my client with Terra Vista. Building pools is a huge investment, in my opinion. And people just don't know. Like if you don't know, then you're going to do anything. You don't, when someone says, okay, you got to inject this soil and it's $2,000, you think, okay, I'd rather spend the $2,000 on pretty tile, right?
Right.
Is that what they think too? I'm not the only one.
It's sometimes I'll go and meet with a client who's already met with 2 or 3 or even 4 other pool builders, and they haven't even brought up soil movement or injections or piers or anything. And so when I talk to them about it, they're a little taken back and a little shocked to hear some of the pricing. But, and as time goes on, and even very recently, I have been able to reduce the cost of soil injections. I found
Awesome.
companies to do it for less, like by 50% less.
Wow, where
So-
were you when I needed you?
So yeah, I found companies that focus strictly on pool building to do soil injections for pool builders, and that's all they do. Some of the other companies I've worked with in the past do homes, foundations for businesses, industrial, and the pricing is a little bit different. But I've got solutions now that are saving a bundle.
Wow. So that's good. I'm glad that you're able to do that because I think that's so important. I heard that somewhere behind my neighborhood, I think it was the trails years ago, like 5 pools buckled. It was on the golf course. Did you hear about that?
And the trails and the fairways. I mean,
was?
there's almost every house along the fairways along the golf course has had foundation issues.
Like they buckled, and I guess some of the pool companies paid for it, some of them didn't, and that's when they found out that they were under a riverbed, and there were only a couple of pools that stayed standing. So it was very interesting. So that's why I'm passionate about having you on board because I know you from Dr. Courtney and Lori, and I know you're amazing because you're her brother. You have to be amazing. And did my research, and we've had conversations
Right.
about how you do things differently. But I think it's really important to be able to educate people on the difference. Like tell them, look, this is where you live. This is what's happening to your other neighbors. This is what could happen. And this is why you should pay the money to get a more stable pool and inject your soil because this is an investment of this much money that you want to protect. And then at least when you tell them, then it's their decision, you know?
I'll even pass. I've passed on some jobs where a homeowner didn't want to do the soil injections. They
Wow.
wanted to save that money, and I won't do it. It's just one of those things that if you don't, at a minimum, do injection, you're going to have movement. It's almost guaranteed. So
Wow.
I won't build it, and I'll let somebody else get that phone call later on.
I love that. And it is a phone call later on if you don't do it the right way, right?
That's
And,
right.
you know, I tell everybody, all of us are business owners. So I tell everybody, you are a small business owner in a small community. Collin County is small. Overachieve. Do it the right way the first time because you have only one reputation. Don't mess it up.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So that's why I just told a client yesterday that I met out at a different client's office, and she wanted me to help with marketing. And I said, more or less, you're wasting your time. She's like, what? You don't want my money? I'm shocked that you're saying that. I'm like, but if I don't think it's a good fit, and I didn't think it was a good fit, and I did offer her because she is a business right up the street from me, and we live in neighborhoods right by each other. I did tell her I would love to give you editorial in the magazine, and I would love to come to your grand opening, but I don't have your target audience. And what you're trying to achieve, I cannot help you with that. So, and that's what I believe with the magazine and the radio show is that it is not for, like a pool company, it's not for any pool company. The people in my database reading my magazine, the big part of them, of the like email and so forth, are business owners, high-end business owners that have the money to spend on whatever they want. So this magazine and radio show isn't getting you in front of everybody. It's getting you in front of the business owners that have money to spend on whatever the heck they want, that care about injecting the soil.
And it's not just the
quality.
structure,
It's
the
the quality
stability.
of
The stability and structure of the pool that you're going to put in is one thing. The other part is the hydraulics. I mean, one of the biggest misconceptions is the bigger the pump, the better the flow and everything's going to be. But more problems have occurred from large pumps and small piping. So everything I do is oversized, larger piping. I don't use 2-inch pipe. I use 2.5-inch and 3-inch pipe. So a normal pool, you go out and look at it, it's got pressure at the filter of like 15, 20 PSI, even 25 PSI. Mine are running at about 8.
Wow.
So
Wow.
very quiet, high volume, low velocity, and
I love that. And we're live now. The Best in Collin County magazine just went live yesterday morning. So you can go on to the bestincollincountymagazine.com and see Brian's ad in there. And then we're going to be
I'm
doing
excited.
editorial next.
All right.
It looks so beautiful. I love the pool that's on there that you sent me the pictures of. It's such a beautiful pool. And when I looked at the pool, I'm like, oh, I got a freeform pool, and I kind of wish that it was a little more fancy. But I think it kind of goes by your backyard too, right?
It depends.
Like my backyard was so weird and small that I really needed to do a freeform. Unfortunately, that's probably not what I would have really wanted, but it's whatever, sometimes what fits. These houses, most of them, they have small backyards.
They do.
Bigger houses, little bitty backyards.
Yeah.
You know.
We can, you can design it to fit. Some people want a geometric, some people want a free form. Sometimes it's a blend of both. So it just depends what'll fit, what looks best, and what does the client want.
Right. And what's your website so everyone can go on and see your pools?
It's my website is terravistapl.com. It's Terra Vista Pool, Patio and Landscape. I've got some photos on the website. I've got a lot more photos on Facebook. It's just easier for me to upload.
Absolutely. What do you have, a pool company to run or something?
Yeah, right.
Well, I'm so glad that you are on today.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. And Dr. Lee, dear. So when I told my son what we were going to be talking about, I said, I need to tell you now so you don't get embarrassed. So, Dr. Lee, what are we talking about today? When you came to my radio launch party, he says, Jennifer, I have a new machine. I'm what is this machine?
Oh, my God. This is just unbelievable equipment. So, I'm going to talk a lot about some basic health and beauty issues. So starting with the chair you're talking about, this is actually a new device. They just launched it in January.
You see Jaron turning red
he's
already.
already turning pink. I haven't even said anything.
I'm glad I told him before, though. He might have got up and walked out.
He's almost matching your pink dress color. Yeah. So anyway, what this is a device that actually helps with the condition called stress urinary incontinence. And in common parlance, it's like I pee when I laugh. That's kind of what people talk about. Or when they cough, when they run, little urine leaks out, and sometimes a lot. And mostly women.
I wouldn't be laughing anymore.
Yeah. Mostly women deal with this. Men have it as well, and ranges a huge, very wide age group, almost from the, late 20s all the way on up. And it's one of the problems that kind of starts as a trickle and gets bigger and bigger and bigger as you get older because the whole mechanism gets weaker. And sometimes women have problems sleeping. They have to get up several times at night. They have to wear these pads. And now you're seeing ads for diapers and all kinds of stuff for women and men.
And they say they're pretty. They're not pretty.
They're not pretty. I mean, come on. I tell a lot of my patients, like, do you really want to start your second childhood wearing a diaper? Is that your idea of getting older? I mean, So this device, I got introduced to it at a laser conference in Dallas in April. And what it is I said electromagnetic pulsation that generates pulses in the muscles in the pelvic floor that helps you tighten the sphincters in your ureter, which is the tube through which you urinate. And as you get older, you have a lot of babies, and there's just some aging process that those muscles get very weak, and that's why it's very difficult for you to hold a urine in place. And so the way we coach women without this treatment is to do an exercise called Kegels, Kegel, and it's one of those things where you tell people, when you're urinating, try to stop the urine flow in the middle, and those are the muscles that help you do this.
Oh, that's a good way to explain it.
Yeah,
to stop the urine.
Stop the urine when you're peeing. It works for men and women. Those are the muscles. And so the thing is, you can only do so many, in your lifetime. And what's amazing is
I can do them right now. You wouldn't even know it.
Exactly. That's the whole idea. And that's how they advertise.
Jared's like, Mom, please.
Too much information, right?
Yeah.
But so this chair actually does over 11,000 Kegels in 28 minutes.
Wow, 11,000.
11,000. I don't think any human being can actually do that many in a lifetime. Seriously.
All right, I'm coming to your office, okay. Dr. Lee. Can I check it out? Can I come
definitely,
check it out?
Of course. Oh my God, that'd be fantastic.
Okay.
It's really interesting experience. There's no
We could
pain.
do a Facebook Live.
Sure, that'd be great. I mean, no embarrassment. You come in fully clothed. There's no disrobing. There's no nothing. You literally sit on a chair, and this goes tap, 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 and pulses the muscles, and it's amazing. It's over 95% effective after the protocol.
And how many does it take? How many times?
It takes a minimum protocol is about 6 sessions, about half an hour each.
Half
an hour each. So we do it twice a week. So after 3 weeks, it's people feel difference immediately right after the first treatment. It's unbelievable.
Okay.
And there's some very nice side effects, which I don't know if I should talk in front of a teenager. There's some very interesting side effects.
I think we can use our imagination on the side effects.
Beautiful side effects. That
I'm thinking there's some good ones, especially when you've been married for 20 years.
Yeah.
How long have you been married?
20 years.
Oh, yours 20 years
Yeah, we
too?
just had our 20th anniversary.
Oh, happy anniversary.
Thank you. You as well.
Thank you. When is it?
Anniversary was June 12th.
June 12th.
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, today, August 3rd, is the date when I met my wife.
Aww.
I was just thinking that. It's like, oh my God, I met her 21 years ago.
I'm thinking you're going to need to go to the store to get some roses after this.
Something. Well, she's in China now. But
she's in China?
Yeah.
I've never met your wife.
Oh, really?
No.
Are you kidding?
And how long have I known you?
Several years. Almost 10 years, right?
It's been a long time. It goes by fast. I was way younger
And
when
you're still
you
my
met me.
friend. Oh my God.
You're stuck with me. You can't get away from
Okay.
me.
That sounds great.
Yeah, it
Thanks.
has
I'm
been.
honored.
It's been a long time, and
Yeah.
it was through one of our mutual friends,
Yes,
Cheryl.
exactly.
When you
Yeah.
were buying that other machine,
I don't know which machine.
The
I have so
brain
many
machine
machines.
we
Oh,
were
yeah,
just
yeah.
talking
Oh, I was
about.
going to talk to you about that too. That's really, really important. Is the brain SPECT scan? It's tremendously important, especially in light of what we were just talking about. You playing football.
yes, and so you've got
Yeah.
concussions, and
Sorry,
do you
traumatic
know
brain
how many
injury.
kids, Jared, had concussions when you were in junior high?
I mean, each year there was at least 3, 4, 5 kids a year who would sit out the rest of the season, and it would just be awful, and they would just be in pain and couldn't go to practice. Kind of like ruined the year for them.
And how many? Wasn't there a few kids that completely stopped playing football?
Yes. 'Cause
At least 2, right?
Yep, it was at least 2, and because it's just after going through that experience, you just don't. Some people don't want to go through it again. Like it's kind of dangerous for your life
Right.
outside of football, and they just don't want to risk anything.
You said it exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly. In fact, a patient, in fact, this month, 18-year-old who has even a football scholarship and all that, he had to kind of put that on hold because he has such long history of traumatic brain injury. This is, it's no different than military traumatic injury, any other type of injury, repetitive trauma to the brain. And, he literally, couldn't function. And he said, I would never say anything because he was afraid of being taken out and not play because he wanted to play. And he got the scholarship too. Obviously, he's talented, but now he's suffering the consequence of all this repeated, trauma.
And a lot of the people listening, like I have the Facebook group, Collin County Moms,
Sure.
which you guys aren't in because you're not women. And
Who could be honorary moms?
men try to sneak in. I'm like, But Collin County Moms
Yeah.
has 4.7 thousand moms, local moms.
Wow.
And I think
I'd
the
love
moms.
to go and give a talk in front of them.
Yeah, well, so
It's something they need
I
to
can put
understand.
this
Yeah,
in the
sure.
group
Oh, wow.
so that they can see
Okay,
it. So I would love for you to tell them, like, so moms here in Frisco, they're sports crazy
Oh, sure.
in the Dallas Metroplex. I'm from California; they're not as sports crazy. They start the kids out at 2. Like I didn't even let him do football till when?
7th grade.
Oh,
Yep,
wow.
I wouldn't
Yeah,
let him
good.
because
I think you're smart.
I was
Even
worried
that's
about
early.
that,
Yeah, even that's early.
and
Yeah.
that was just because that's when it started at school.
Right.
And so I let him play. And don't think I'm not always like praying over him. I'm like, protect him, Lord, take care of him, because it worries me. But so what do you see? What is the scan called, first of all?
Yeah, scan is called SPECT scan. It's an acronym. It's a tomogram scan. It's a nuclear medicine. And the real advantage of this scan versus other brain scanners, when you talk about brain scans, people typically think about MRI and CT.
Right.
And which is great, but for me, MRI and CT are what I call structural scans. You see what the organ looks like, whereas a SPECT scan is actually a functional scan. It actually shows you the areas of different functionality in an organ, in the case, the brain. So it's a little like, I always, when I have my consultation with my patients, I have some analogies that I always use, and I always use the analogy of a car engine. You're on the road here in the Dallas Tollway, you're driving down your Ferrari, and all of a sudden it goes put, 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 and comes to a halt. Because Ferraris never do that, but
You got him all excited when you said Ferrari.
that's your next car. And so you open up the back, and it's like everything looks great. There's nothing leaking, no steam coming out. You got full tank of gas. It's not working. So that's sort of the analogy in the sense that the engine or the brain looks fine, but it's the internal component functionality that is abnormal. That's what makes the car stop.
Right.
So what this scan does is that actually we look at the brain blood flow, and blood flow is tied to function. And just like when you exercise, you're an athlete. So when you run, lift weights, those areas of the body get different levels of blood flow to feed that. And brain does the same thing. Different parts of the brain, there are actually subparts in the brain that do different things. And so by looking at the blood flow pattern of the brain, you can get an idea of this area is working too much, this area is not working enough, and there's an imbalance. And that imbalance, whether it's caused by trauma for whatever reason, results in different symptoms, things like depression, anxiety, ADD, post-traumatic stress syndrome. All those things we talk about as a mental condition are really related to, especially in the area of traumatic brain injury from repeated trauma. Because when your head gets banged up, brain is very, very soft. It's like soft tofu or like Jello.
Oh, dear,
it's that
tofu,
soft.
huh?
Okay, it's that soft. So you're kind of rattling this soft structure inside this hard shell of the skull. So kind of think about what happens.
Crazy that is. We're actually going to go to commercial break, Dr. Lee, and then we're going to come right back talking more about this awesome scan that you have.
Okay.
We'll be right back. Austin's like, good girl. She did it right this time.
Right.
Sometimes I have my co-host being like, shut up, look. Jared's not used to like bossing his mom around yet. So that's what a co-host gets to do.
Yeah.
They get to boss the host around.
You got to kick her on the table.
Yeah.
Come on,
Can you
Mom.
reach me?
Come on, Mom.
I don't think so. So very, very interesting. The brain scan, and you know what? I was thinking about how long ago when we discussed that when I came in your office and you were showing me all the different aspects and what you're using that for and getting that in front of NFL players and
Yeah, I'm still trying to do that.
I can see how I could see how the people they're playing for wouldn't want them to do the scan, right?
Well,
or would they?
I think they should, and I think also.
But would they want to? Because then if you see some type of injury there, then they couldn't play.
Start doing something about it.
Oh, you could do.
can
So what do you
with
do when you
protection.
find out?
Well, I mean, it just depends on the degree of
Okay.
of the abnormality or imbalance. But the earlier you find something, faster you can intervene and start protecting yourself. Learn different techniques, maybe rest a little bit, or get therapy, including supplements and medications or whatnot, to help.
So you can reverse it?
Oh yeah, of course.
Brain
of
energy
course.
and,
Oh, definitely. Yeah,
okay.
brain does get healthier and does reverse. I mean, if it didn't have the possibility of getting better, what's the point of doing it? I mean, I wouldn't.
Okay, what do we do to get smarter, make our brain better? I know with eyes we eat carrots.
Oh yeah, well,
what do we
that's
do for the
one.
brain? Reading,
Well,
relaxing.
Yeah,
what is
reading,
it?
relaxing, exercising your brain, good nutrition. Sound body, great nutrition.
No
That's
McDonald's?
That's what feeds the brain. No, once in a blue moon, you can eat McDonald's. I'm not that harsh on my patients, but I just tell them don't eat McDonald's every day.
What does the brain scan cost without insurance?
Good question,
That's
Austin.
a good question. Yeah, my fee is a little bit under $4,000, about $3,800. But actually, a lot of my patients have insurance, and I help them submit the insurance form.
Okay.
And so they get anywhere between 40 to 80% back, depending on the insurance company.
Oh, really?
So that's how I've done it from day
So
one.
they could actually, though, go through their insurance company, see if it gets reimbursed, and then do the brain
and
scan.
we help them. Also, also they can pay for the health savings account. Because this is a medical test, and they can do that as well.
Okay.
So there are a lot of different ways to handle that, and it's a very time-consuming process. Certainly for me, the test itself is very expensive. The isotopes and all the stuff you got to do to put that together.
So what type of people need to get this brain scan?
Wow, I mean. I
Well,
think
kids that play sports.
Well, I mean, I think one idea is to
Or if they've been hit.
get a baseline scan, before a season starts. Let's say, get a scan. So that's where your brain is. And if you have some sort of injury or whatever, get a scan after that to see what the difference is, what has happened. I think anybody who is struggling with depression, ADD, post-traumatic, and if you have a military history, you have a, traumatic brain injury, if you're retired.
Oh, so it doesn't necessarily have to be physical. It could be
No,
mental
it can be
as well.
mental, yeah. I have a lot of patients.
Oh,
coming
dear.
in.
I could be in big trouble. No.
There are a lot of patients coming in after
Look, he's agreeing.
abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, or what they have the mental. Yeah, because brain is a psychological organ, if you will, as well as a physical organ.
Right.
So
They tell me when it's coming back on
okay,
for sure.
yeah, okay. So it has, those things will affect the brain because any kind of changes in your metabolism will change the brain neurochemistry, and that's what has the effect on the brain. Yeah.
Are you liking my song now?
No.
No one can hear the song, so when everyone dances, I'm like, people can't hear that. Austin's back there dancing too.
Reminds me of Benny Hill. You know that? The Benny Hill chicken song. Do you know that one? No, you don't know. you can YouTube it. Benny Hill.
Welcome back to the Jennifer Sheehan Show. We're having too much fun talking about all kinds of interesting stuff. So we'll get back right with Dr. Lee. Dr. Lee, what's so interesting is that your first, I wouldn't say job, but you're a plastic surgeon first and
cosmetic
foremost.
surgeon.
Cosmetic surgeon. And so what made you go from cosmetic surgery into all these other things, like a brain scan of all things?
Yeah, well, that's sort of I do a lot of different things besides that.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I
Don't
kinda
you read radiology?
Yeah. I call that the sort of a lost soul syndrome, trying to find out your place in life, and
Oh,
so
no.
you end up doing. I'm just kidding. Yeah. But anyway, no, my whole philosophy in medicine is integrative.
Right.
And I have I kind of call my practice integrative cosmetic surgery, Because I believe that in order to make somebody look good and beautiful, you really need to be healthy inside.
Right.
If you're not healthy internally with healthy body, healthy metabolism, good nutrition, I could do a lot of things to the face or body or whatever, but at the end of the day, you're not going to look healthy.
Right.
You're not going to have
Same
that
thing
glow.
like drinking water and getting lots of sleep. Drinking a lot
that's
of
the
water
basics.
makes your skin look so
Yeah,
good. I
more
only drink
hydrated.
water.
Yeah, you're more hydrated. Sleep is tremendously important for everything, but that's
So it's good
that's
going
the
to bed
basis.
at 10 o'clock every night?
No, go to bed at 8 o'clock.
8? Okay, so I don't know if I could go to bed at 8, but
I'm just kidding.
I go
but
to...
if you can get 7 to 8 hours.
So you know
sleep,
what I do every
yeah,
night?
What?
Every
Yeah.
night I get 8 hours.
8
I'm
hours.
normally in bed by 10 o'clock every night.
That's why you have all the energy you do. That's
Is that
amazing.
it?
Oh yeah. Oh my
so
god.
like last night, I think I was actually texting your sister last night at like 12, and I go, I'm normally asleep by now. I'm like, and so are you.
yeah, yeah.
But I was just up talking to my husband a little bit later than normal. But normally, every single night, 8 hours. So you think that's why I have
amazing.
so much energy?
Oh yeah, that's huge. That's huge.
And I do
don't
eat
get I
right.
don't get anywhere near that. But the few mornings that I get up after 6 or 7 hours, my brain is like, oh my god, where have you been? This is a whole
Really?
nother world.
Well, and
Yeah,
as we
yeah.
get older, so Brian's younger. How old are you, Brian?
I'm not that young.
You're not? Are you over 40?
Yes.
You are?
Yes.
Okay, you look young. Keep doing whatever you're doing.
Oh, thank you.
Get more sleep.
I know Dr. Lee and I are over 40.
Yeah, a little
and
bit.
like as you get older, I'm being 47 now, things started changing. Like I still
Yes.
have my energy, but it doesn't last as long. And I'm like, oh, so now I've actually had to strategically do things a little bit differently where I'm like, okay, where do I want to spend that energy?
Sure.
I obviously need to have it on my radio show. I need to
Right.
have it at events and stuff like that. And so that's just making me like, Jared has no clue. At 16, he's got so much energy, like the Energizer Bunny.
Exactly.
And you can eat whatever the heck
That's
you want.
right. That's right. Yeah.
And it nothing happens. And then you hit like 40 and you eat a cracker and you get bloated.
Oh.
And you're like, what? So it's interesting because as you get older, then it's not just a physical thing, it's inside.
Exactly.
You can start
Exactly.
feeling like, I never thought that you could do something as stupid as eating a piece of bread or a cracker and your stomach hurts and get bloated.
Yeah, well, it can because that turns to sugar, and sugar is inflammatory, and if you're sensitive to that, then you can have a reaction. And if you have maybe candidiasis or some sort of flora in your gut that reacts to sugar, that's another thing that kind of kicks that off too. So there's very different levels of.
I had all
looking
kinds
at
of
this.
crazy stuff
Have you
like
really?
that. So I
Yeah.
take probiotics and
Yeah. Good.
had the stupid acid reflux thing and had to deal with that. Had to give up fried food and
Oh,
had to give up
really?
alcohol. I gave up alcohol 11 months ago.
Well, that's good. Congratulations.
Thank you. I miss it.
Yeah. Well,
I miss it a lot.
in
But
moderation, it's very
But
good.
it is what it is. You know what's so funny? Giving up those things, I feel really great now.
Mm-hmm.
When I don't eat bread and I'm not drinking alcohol and not eating fried food, lost a lot of weight, stomach flat, feeling good.
Oh my God. There you go.
And then sleeping, and then I pretty much only drink, I drink one cup of coffee in the morning, but it's decaf.
Wow.
I gave up caffeine for the most part, and I pretty much only drink water.
Wow, you're like my ideal patient. All my
Thank
patients
you.
are walking this.
So my best friend, Dr. Joy Touchstone, she's been my best friend for 17 years. And she said, I can't believe you did all that. I can't believe you gave up all that. She goes, none of my patients would do that.
yeah.
I said, but my throat was closing and I had to have it surgically opened twice
Wow.
in 1 year. So I'm like, okay, what's more important, drinking wine or breathing?
Exactly.
Okay, breathing.
I think you made the right choice.
Yeah, I think
you made the
so
right
too.
choice.
I
Yeah.
think breathing's kind of important. So with the brain scan, so the type of people, I know it would be like any athlete or any kid that has had a concussion or hit
definitely,
would be a great
definitely.
idea
Sure.
for them to get a brain
Yeah.
scan.
Oh, without a doubt. And I think even without sports injuries, just having
Or having any
these
kind of
type
trauma.
trauma, these types of behavioral, issues, emotional issues that affect, how you function, at school or at work or relationships or whatever.
So like depression,
oh, sure,
would that be
definitely.
a reason
Oh,
if someone is depressed
clearly.
and they don't know why?
Exactly, clearly. I mean, I think that, the way a lot of these problems are being dealt with now is almost like, throwing a dart in the dark. Literally just close your eyes and throw a dart. And I have a lot of patients that come in saying, I have a list of these medications I've been taking. They rotate these medications every month and this and that. And just like, it's not working. And they finally sort of reach a point where I got to do something different. And they find me on the internet and they come in and then we kind of talk about the whole process of how the scan is working, why, and then how I use the scan to help them rebalance their brain to become healthier. And that really is I think the crux of it all. I mean, for me, the SPECT scan, does two things. Number one, it kind of opens up the mystery of what's going on inside you. You know, a lot of people have, I'm depressed. Okay. I'm anxious. I have ADD, but people have no idea why. You know, what's interesting is those things are actually symptomatic things, but we use it as a diagnosis.
Right.
Diagnosis is actually using, figuring out what the cause is. So this scan helps you realize the areas of the brain that are resulting in those symptoms.
Right.
So
So even someone that's bipolar, right?
Oh, yeah. When it's not, you can't diagnose bipolar from that, but you can see the areas of the brain that are associated with bipolar, for example, And the other thing that I think is actually even more important for me in my experience with a lot of patients is that, this is, you're an athlete, so I'm going to use an analogy. So let's say you run and, tear a knee and you have a, cartilage tear. So what do? You put it in a Facebook, I'm going to go to surgery to get my cartilage repaired. And everybody goes, oh, Jared, you're
16-year-olds don't do Facebook, Dr. Lee.
Well, okay, I'm sorry.
Snapchat.
Snapchat, whatever. Whatever
Right.
you do. So you get lots of kudos and pats in the back. Good luck with the surgery. We're looking for you, blah, blah, blah. There's no stigma with, sports injuries and getting it repaired.
Right.
But if you have a quote-unquote mental condition,
Oh,
people are
right.
sympathetic. At the same time, they're like, oh, kind of stay away from me. And the
Right.
person who has that condition has a relationship, with him or herself about that whole condition. They don't know what to deal with it. There's a fear of the mental condition. Okay, so when you do the SPECT scan and lay it out in black and white, see the actual things of what's going on, then you realize this is not a mysterious condition. I'm not a basket case or whatever. I'm going to, they're going to lock me up and throw away the keys. It really is a medical condition affecting your brain. No different than a torn cartilage, which is a medical condition, affecting your knee, which has a solution, right? So now when you define it as is a medical condition that you can see the reasons for affecting your brain, now all of a sudden the mystery becomes non-mysterious.
Right.
You have a pathway and a strategy you can develop to start rebalancing.
So I
the
love
brain.
that you're able to see that,
Yeah.
and so many don't have that machine that you have to
Exactly.
see that.
Yeah.
So then what do you do? How do you help people once you diagnose them with this?
Yeah, so depending on the level of condition, so basically with the scan, I can kind of figure out, okay, this area is the worst affected. Let's say your temporal lobe, okay? Let's start there. Let's start working to just focus on the temporal lobe. Let's start to rebalance that. There are different supplements and some medications and exercises and all kinds of stuff.
So there's brain exercise?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Give us an
do.
example of a brain exercise. That's interesting. I think I need to be exercising my brain.
I don't know. I think you're pretty up there already.
Thank you.
But I
Look at Jared's like, here.
Actually, the best brain exercise, believe it or not, is actually meditation.
Okay. I actually do a
Meditation.
lot
Do
of
you?
that.
There you go.
Probably
So
about an hour a day.
You're able to do an hour? Oh,
well,
my God. I can barely do 10 seconds.
My meditation, though, as a
Yeah,
Christian, is
sure.
reading the Bible and praying.
And praying, yes.
And praising.
Exactly. I spoke to somebody a couple of weeks ago who exactly said that. This is what I do. I pray. It's like, well, I said prayer is form of meditation because you have one thought, one channel. And,
Good, so I can do it more, and my
yes.
brain can be more healthy.
Exactly.
Well, I already,
So-
I think God is like, Jennifer, enough.
Come on.
Look, the Bible says you have not because you asked not. I'm like, oh yeah, that's not going to be the problem with me. I'm going to get up to heaven and be like,
It's
you
like,
asked a lot.
Can I help somebody else now? Come on. Go to the back of the line here. Come on.
Everyone needs a piece of the
Take
pie.
your turn. But
That's
actually
good to know.
meditation is huge for channeling and focusing and harnessing the power of the brain. And for a lot of people who actually have these kind of conditions, even if you're healthy, it's very hard to concentrate and focus. And so I tell my patients, listen, if you can do this for 2 seconds, great, celebrate. Next time you do it for 5 seconds, 10 seconds. And slowly, believe it or not, very soon you'll be doing 5 minutes. And if you can actually do 5 minutes of really just pure meditation, that really is tremendously beneficial. And then, I have supplements and other things that I use. But
That's really great to know that because
Yeah.
I never knew that. I am totally knowledge is power. And that is amazing to know that. And, interesting enough, this world's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You've got kids, you've got work, you've got spouses, you've got social media, you got
so many distractions.
Now
Oh,
we
my
got
God.
flying ants in my kitchen. I'm like, okay, Carissa Richardson was just on here with Buckaroo Pest. I'm like, Teresa, I got flying ants. I need you. I'm just, thank God they're not termites and they're ants. I took a picture
Yeah.
and sent it to her. But
That's funny.
just, it all just comes at you all the
Yes,
time.
right.
It's trying to eat right, getting your kid ready for school, go grocery shopping. And then the word that us women hate, what's for dinner?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my gosh, like who cares about dinner? We got bigger fish to fry.
Right.
So you get
Yeah,
so
flying
much,
ants.
and this world goes so fast. past.
Right.
And most people, I mean, women a lot of times don't even take care of themselves anymore.
Right.
I don't have that problem. I take great care of myself.
Well,
But
you have
they don't-
to. You have
But they
to.
don't take care of themselves anymore. And so meditation and getting quiet, people don't do anymore. So that might be such a
'Cause they
big problem
can't.
in
It's
this
almost
day
like
and age.
almost like they can't. And
So, but you have to make it a
have
point.
to. Yeah,
So you have to strategically put together a plan, which is what I do.
Exactly.
I got this much time with the work, this much time with the kid. Like I actually have to tell myself, okay, stop working and go hang out with your kid and your husband because I love to work.
Sure.
And so I find myself social media and email and doing all this stuff. And so it's really a strategic plan on how do you juggle all this. So putting in that quiet time.
Yeah, and balancing.
I think
that's
is
what
key.
you're talking about is balancing. That's exactly
Right.
what it is. And then, so that's kind of what I do. I mean, kind of map out, okay, temporal lobe, let's say maybe the basal ganglia or the frontal lobe, that affects your focus and, your typical ADD things. So I kind of lay them out step by step and say, okay, we're going to start with one. As you kind of graduate from this area, we'll go to number 2 and then work on that. And then kind of keep building on the healing process. And what's really interesting about the brain is that as you start working on one area and move to maybe a second area, none of the parts in the brain, lives in vacuum. It's all interrelated.
Right.
So as one area gets healthier, the brain neurotransmitters and the chemistry starts to alter and get rebalanced. And as you start to keep going one to the other, I mean, I really rarely had to go more than 1 or 2, 3 steps because the brain kind of starts to readjust itself, and the health kind of comes from those kind of process and effort. So that's kind of what I do. Is I kind of work as a guide, and an advocate for my patients to, number one, point out the issues and then kind of give them some directions of this is how you do. And I'm there to kind of help them along and cheer them along and support them, answer questions, but they have to do the work. But they realize that.
I think it's very interesting. I mean, obviously, I love everything that has to do with plastic surgery because I'm getting older and I'm going to need some stuff done in the near future, or to get my Botox, of course. But very interesting because the outside is all great. But you're right. If the inside is not functioning right, just like the pool, the outside of the pool can look all great.
Exactly.
But if underneath it, it's not
the soil
structured,
is shifting, the soil is shifting,
then
yeah.
you have nothing.
That's right.
You know what I
That's right.
mean?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
just
Yeah.
really great information. I'm grateful that you've come to share this with
thank you
us.
for
And
inviting me. Thank
what
you.
is your website, Dr. Lee?
For the brain side, it's called mindforlife.com.
Mindforlife.com. And what's your regular?
My regular website is ADV, like advanced, advsurgicalarts.com. So that has all my other stuff that I do in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the plastic surgery is fun too. You've done, how long have you been a plastic surgeon?
Oh, God, I've probably started that in 2005.
Wow.
So I've been doing it for a while. Yeah.
So you're still doing that too, right?
Yeah. I love,
You just want to do a lot of different
making,
fun stuff.
making people lovely and beautiful and feel healthy. And actually, I'm working on a whole health structure. In fact, I'm in the process of writing a book on it. The idea is called Diamond Matrix. And what
I remember you showing me that in your
yeah.
office
Okay.
about how everything
It's interrelated,
yes,
right?
is
That
interrelated.
is a complete integration.
So that's kind of what you wanted to do
Yeah.
is to help everybody from the inside out.
right.
And I appreciate your support. We've been friends a long time. We've never done business together, not yet.
Yes.
Now you got the magazines and the
Okay.
prices. Things could
Okay.
change. You
All
never know.
right.
You might like this radio show and
This
say,
is great. I love
Jennifer,
it.
I want to come on again. But I love the support. You've been to so many of my events and you've got to meet a lot of my clients and other business owners. And I appreciate you keeping the Best in
thank
Collin
you.
County
Of
magazine
course.
in your
Yeah,
office.
yeah,
Thank
no.
you so
Well,
much.
thank you for inviting me to write that article. I wrote that article about
Yes.
the snoring thing a while ago. But
Yes,
yeah.
and the article was amazing,
Yeah.
and so that's what it's all about
I
for
know,
me.
exactly.
I mean, you've known me long enough to know it's not about the money. The money always comes, and it always has come for me. It's about being able to help the local owned businesses and connect them via digital, the magazine, the radio, social media, events, all of that together gets us all together. And now Brian's the new guy on the block, so
I'm the newbie.
he's going to come to the events
Two thumbs up.
and meet, some of the other business owners and so forth. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah,
You know,
I agree.
just kind of like even the events, I keep them very, very fluent by invitation only. If you're not invited by email or text, then you're not probably coming to my events.
Right.
But I keep it very affluent because you know that I had, I think it was 5 plastic surgeons at my radio
Yeah,
show.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I think it was 7 dentists, 3 of the biggest law firms.
Wow.
And so it's very important to me that when business owners like yourself are getting into a room,
Right.
that it's not going to be a multi-level marketing rep trying to sell you.
Right,
It's
right.
going to be other businesses that you can do business with, and the business owner is right there. So very important
exactly
to me
right.
to keep it affluent and local. And what's your website, Brian?
It's terravistappl.com.
So easy. So thank you so much for coming on and talking today. Thank you so much, Jared. Even though you're
Way to
getting
go,
paid.
Jared.
All right, did your palms stop sweating?
A little bit. I think it'll be better next time.
It'll be better.
Yeah.
So okay, you want to come on again?
Sure.
Do I have to pay you?
Yes.
Darn.
We'll see.
I was trying to think he had
Just to
so
pay for
much
gas.
fun.
Just
Yeah,
to pay for
It's
gas.
actually a lot of fun. Not gonna lie.
it is fun, right?
And I get caught like just listening, but it just everything goes through your mind. It's kind of interesting about what everyone's doing.
Right, and it's been an hour. We've already
That's
spent
amazing.
an
It went
hour.
an hour
So
already.
thank
That
you,
was
listeners,
fast.
for listening. And the new Best in Collin County magazine is at the bestincollincountymagazine.com, the digital version. And I will see you guys all next week, same time. Jennifer Sheehan Show. Thank you. All right,
Wow,
keep these
perfect
on.
Time. Perfect time.
Austin's going to come turn off my Facebook Live for me and then take a couple pictures. I owe Austin. He's so amazing.